All right, next topic. Let's do video production. I see Mr. Franco's here as well. So this one's for you, Doug. For all the people that'll be watching this on replay, for all the people watching it now on Facebook and later on replay, help us understand how to pull off the highest quality video and win elections. How to use video, how to produce the highest quality video for the purpose of winning an election. What do you do in terms of best practices and standards? What do you recommend?
Well, first of all, I recommend, since I do a lot of advertising production, not just commercial production, I've done a lot of print ads. I've done a lot of print ads for Doug and Erica Geis in the past too. I believe if you're going to run a political campaign, it needs to be well-rounded. From print pieces, which people actually can physically hold in their hand and read at their leisure, to repeated messages on television, which will show, the level of quality of their whole, television campaign, internet, social media video, obviously just internet, social media in general, but combining everything under, because you have, is there a dog barking? Oh. Okay. So, on the upper level, you have a whole marketing campaign, and underneath that, you have different advertising production elements. So I think, first of all, it's important for a political candidate to have all of their advertising production elements united together.
Sorry, we have our guest joined us.
You need another chair?
Yeah, please.
Oh. Mr. Hartman, how you doing?
All right. Did you bring me some menudo?
I should have. Yeah.
Was that you barking?
Yeah, that was Bo barking.
Don't give him the squeaky chair.
Part animal.
He couldn't figure out Fire Talk on his phone.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
He's just bringing you a good chair.
Oh, this is a good chair.
All right,
So he just drove over then.
Yeah, he's just a stone's throw away.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, wait, let me scoot over.
Oh, okay.
All right, we saved the good part of the conversation for you, but right now Doug is sharing his wealth of knowledge.
Oh.
Actually made some really good points. Sorry to interrupt, Doug. Can you keep going?
Yeah. So just to recap what I was saying, you have a whole marketing campaign, but all the advertising components underneath it have to marry each other. And that could be color schemes, that could be your tagline, your logo, how your message is utilized, the tone it takes. And then from there, you get into some of the meat and potatoes of each particular advertising component, whether it's print, whether it's, internet, social media, your website, or television advertising.
Right.
What I do the most is television advertising, as well as for some reason I do a lot of political print design as well too. But with the television component, no matter what industry you're in, including political, it needs to be able to do four things. It needs to be able to grab people's attention, get them to take interest in what you have to offer, get them to make a decision, and get them to take action. Those are the four components of any successful television commercial that possibly exists. It doesn't matter if it's a political campaign, Geico, Hungry Howie's. Those four things need to be in every commercial production.
I'm going to type that into the chat box. So once again, can you recite those? Grab attention, number one.
Yeah, it's attention, interest, decision, action. And then from there, that's really the only template that any commercial has in common. From there, everything's, custom made. So your attention grabber, the commercial, the thing that's going to people pull in and want to continue watching the rest of the commercial is going to be something that's going to hit home to them. And that could be something that falls under a certain demographic, depending on where you're going to air the commercial. If you are targeting a certain thing, let's say it's political. Let's say something's going on in your city that most people, 75% or whatever of the people, are upset about. So that might be something you want to lead in with an attention grabber into the commercial. I know when I was doing Rick Suller's campaign, under the current administration of Lamran, they were having problems because they cut the police department by 50%. They were cutting the fire department. They actually closed one of the facilities down. A lot of things were getting cut. And if you look at what Rick Sauer's done, is he brought all that back, but he's still within budget.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that Lamran wasn't spending the money wisely. So when we did his television commercial campaign, we were focusing on those particular issues to really drive people to the polls and vote for Rick. Different cities have different issues. You know, judges obviously have their own things to deal with. Bill was talking about how sometimes judges have a hard time. And, you know, that's totally understandable because when you look at a ballot, there might be like 18 judges on there or something, you know? So those are the main things that you really need to consider. And then when we do, for some reason, I'm getting some weird feedback. Does somebody have their speaker up louder?
I have not changed anything.
Okay. Well, that's weird. I'm getting back feed for some reason. So once you grab someone's, you know, the audience's attention, you want to talk about, you know, the meat and potatoes of who they are, what they have to offer, what separates them from other politicians, those type of things like that are running. And of course, you want to drive them, you know, whatever date it is, August 3rd, November 7th, whatever it is, you want to push the date, you know, and when they need to vote and so forth. So that's your decision and your action portion of the commercial, which usually falls towards the end.
What is the action? Vote? Get out and vote? Or is it subscribe?
Get out and vote for that candidate.
Right.
Yeah.
I have two questions I thought of as you were speaking. Is it sounds to me as if script writing's very important.
Oh, absolutely. It's the whole backbone of the commercial. In fact, normally I spend the most amount of time doing script writing than I do any other single component of the production process.
And how long? What's an average typical video for a candidate?
30 seconds.
30 seconds?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, 30. But since we've been doing pre-rolls for the past 2 years, we do a lot of 15s too. And then sometimes some long, what we call long form video for YouTube, Facebook, their website, so forth.
And how much collaboration is there between you and candidate when you're writing the script?
I usually spend about 45 minutes during the introductory, what I call pre-production meeting. And those are, you know, usually things I try not to step on anybody's toes. So if they have any preconceived ideas of what they're looking for, I give them the opportunity to express that to me beforehand. If they don't, then I give them my ideas, and of course that consists of a lot of questions, a lot of Q&A. Some of the things I already asked, you know, talked about before. What separates you from some of your competition, aka the other politician? You know, and things like that. You know, depending on the type of campaign style they're going for, it could be a little different. I know with Rick, we included the family. We included some of the stuff from his work environment, you know, from Cut-Right Manufacturing. People wanted to see that he was kind of business savvy because Taylor was looking to bring back a lot, you know, bring in more business into Taylor.
Right. So what happens if you write the script, you turn it over to the candidate, they have to go home and practice in front of the mirror or whatever the heck they do? What if they're just no good at delivering? Like, how do you help coach people to deliver the message, deliver the script?
Well, first of all, not every single one of my commercials has them on camera. Sometimes they'll be off camera, sometimes they'll be on camera. We usually talk about that ahead of time. Sometimes it's a professional voiceover talent. But specifically to your question, though, when it comes to a candidate being on camera, whether it's a green screen or on location or whatnot, what I do is coaching. So I start out with a regular delivery that they would normally do. Then I start adding on suggestions as we move along from take to take to take. So like the first suggestion I might have is use your hands. I'll tell them how to use their hands. I'll tell them how to enunciate things. I'll tell them to come up at the end of sentences because it's a big Midwestern thing to go down on the end of a sentence instead of up. So I'll tell them, think of it as a question, so you come up on the end, like that. Then we'll talk, more about hand gesturings. We'll talk about, several different things like that. But I usually take it one step at a time, not to overwhelm them. So first take will just be a regular take, and then so forth.
Is awkward ever good? Does it show authenticity?
Awkwardness, I really have to disagree with that. Not really disagree, but I don't think it really ever has much of a place, because if you're running for a political office, you want to show, authority. You want to show mastering of what it is that you're running for. Awkwardness could be something that could be like kitschy or comical in a particular type of commercial, but for a political campaign, I don't necessarily think it would be behoove of somebody running for a political office to come across goofy, I guess.
Yeah.
What's your take on live streaming for political candidates? You come at it from the on-demand perspective.
Sure.
What's your take? Where do you think live streaming fits into the equation?
I think live streaming fits into the equation. Okay, let's say you've got some of your print pieces. You've seen the television or commercial on television, or on pre-roll video or whatnot. So you've seen a polished version of it. But maybe you really want to know what the candidate's like in everyday life,
Right.
Because these forms of advertising are very polished, and people know that nowadays. People are much more educated about advertising than they were back in the 70s. Or even the 80s, I believe.
So that's kind of to your point of awkwardness, is getting them in front of the camera in a natural way.
And that might be more of a place for it too.
Right.
I think advertising production should be polished.
Okay.
Yes. What about niches? If you're a candidate, wouldn't it be great to address just Chamber of Commerce people, or the old folks home, or I don't know, PTA meetings, just a group that's cohesive, that you're going to address their concerns, I don't know, just logistically how you do it.
Well, in that case, it's where do you place the asset for that audience to see it? And that ultimately becomes a challenge. That's not Doug's problem, placing the media. His problem is the production.
Oh, okay.
Creating the script and producing the video for that audience or segment. Then it would be someone like my job to make sure that video is put in front of the right audience. Like, you don't want a video produced for an old folks home put in front of 30 millennials. That makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
So it's a great question. Do you ever have the opportunity to do multiple videos for multiple audiences for the same candidate?
I have, and usually, let me give you an analogy. So let's say you're watching a network television show, right? On ABC, Fox, or NBC, whatever. You'll notice that those shows, they tend to want to reach such a broad demographic that sometimes the message gets a little watered down in a television show, right? Or it's not as good as it could be, like on something like on AMC or Showtime, right?
Yeah.
Because they're reaching such a wide demographic. So you can do things like that, and it's gonna be more of a broad stroke, where they could talk about multiple issues, or they could not get too specific about a certain thing. So if you think of it like that, yeah, there's a way you could target multiple audiences, but it might not be as specific to a particular issue or a particular demographic.
I'm always a big fan of not issues, not talking, but image and what do you call that when you have a personal connection with the person? I don't know, Bill Clinton playing the saxophone.
Hey, not allowed.
What?
Let's see.
That sort of thing, where it's
those things work really well. Okay, it's like watching a Geico commercial, where you see the gecko, right? Well, those things work really well for national type spots or even regional type spots, because the person is already familiar with the particular product or the particular person. But when you're reaching people for the first time that never heard of you, that doesn't work. That doesn't work for them, because they don't know who you are from Joe or John.
Right. These are awesome talking points. And Bill, you have a bunch of ammunition to send all your people.
Well, I know tons of people, but I know what Bo's getting at. You're trying to establish the relationship between the candidate and the person. So by showing some type of commonality, you can build that relationship.
Last thing I have to say about this is, as you're speaking and as we're having this conversation, I strongly feel it's my responsibility to share my knowledge with people like Doug, because the segmenting capability on social media and the streaming services give candidates such a powerful tool and mechanism and vehicle to be able to segment their audience and have separate conversations for separate audiences.
Right.
And it's incredible how far the world's come just in the past 12 months.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people that get frustrated with technology nowadays because advertising is becoming so fractured. I mean, once upon a time, there was just radio, billboard, print, television, and, that was the majority of it. But, since the internet's, progressed over the years, things have splintered so much.
It's incredible. It's really incredible.
We have new technology coming out all the time. And just to try and keep up with the new technology, which is one of the reasons Mike and I put the show together, is like I was just recently asked about Snapchat. I really don't know anything about Snapchat, so I need to educate myself on it. But there's a segment of the population that are using it pretty heavily.
Yeah, young. Oh, and just something new that's really actually old. I was reading about the Republican Party in Vermont. You've heard of big data, how they tie your relationship in with people that you know and trust, and you're the whatever. So you think of that as being done through the internet. Well, the Republican Party in Vermont did it old school. They went to look at yearbooks and to see which of those people lived near you, and some other odds and ends, which were not internet related at all, yet still did the same function. It might be costly, but I was surprised that they could do it in a non-internet setting.
We have now. This is proprietary information. No, it's all for.
I won't repeat it.
It's all for the common good. Just to further the conversation about segmenting audiences, Bill and I did an analysis, a big data analysis on Facebook on the back end. And what we did is we took a look at the demographic of people on the right and in the middle. And we looked at it's called the affinity groupings on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And what Facebook will regurgitate back to you are such things as where they shop, how they shop, whether they spend cash or credit, who their favorite entertainers are, who their favorite sports figures are, so on and so forth. There's about 100 different categories and brand affinities that those two segments have. And when you look at the data for middle versus right, left versus middle versus right, it's very, very clear the message that needs to be constructed and delivered.
What's the right's favorite rock band? Pink Floyd, overwhelmingly. Really? Yes, who would have thought?
Metallica.
Who doesn't love Pink Floyd, right?
Yeah, apparently it sounded like it more than others.
Well, Mike did another video specifically talking about those things that he's talking about right now. Whiteboard. Remember, Karl Rove used to have his chalk talk. So Mike did his chalk talk and show, the difference between different demographics, different ages, their shopping habits, what kind of things they do on a conservative versus a liberal person. Okay.
I think it would be for Doug's sake to take a 15-minute just high level dummy 101 how to look at the data in Facebook for you if you're working with any candidates in the upcoming election, to take a look at the data. You can craft your whole script, not the whole script, but a good part of your script from the results that you're given with the data. It's incredible.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, let's say I get a referral from Comcast Spotlight for a particular, company or political candidate. They have a whole research department that, does all the demographical research on their end. and they'll tell me like what kind of networks they're working on, whether it's CNN or Fox, whether it's those type of networks. And I'm sure
Yes.
Bo was probably privy to that as well.
Yeah. They always give you the list.
I want to see the list. I want to see the data. Like I want to see what their conclusions are.
I've never seen the data. It might be proprietary too, for all I know.
It's not that in depth. It's like very glib, over the top, sort of. It's better than nothing, but it's not nothing.
Yeah, I mean there is one thing. There is one thing you gotta watch out for sometimes. Sometimes they'll try to spread you out too thin, and that is definitely something you gotta watch out for.
Right.
Over across different networks.
Cool. I see Mr. Franco and Jason Bates showed up. Welcome. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, while you guys were talking, I was spreading it around a little more.
Okay. It's 7:49, and it's time to have a little fun.